what this session keeps getting renamed and reshuffled and whatever. So because of that, this is supposed to be the ATM-4 workshop, which means it's supposed to be a practical hands-on, hey, let's make something in ATM-4 that might actually be useful, not just an exercise that you throw away. I'm going to assume, since this is in the advanced track, that people know a little bit about ATM-4, but I am going to go through in fair detail exactly how this particular Gemini in-depth show works. You can see it in the chat. If you haven't downloaded it, you should download it and put it into your shows folder, which is on your root. And then you'll be able to open it up in ATM-4 and edit it. What I would do is, if you're going to edit it, save it as something like Gemini in-depth 2, or don't destroy the original file in case you do something dumb, which I do a lot. So you can't make any mistakes. So I would download that, save it to your shows folder, and then open it up in ATM-4 and just have that set aside. I'm going to share my RenderBox screen. I want it for those who weren't in the other session that we just got out of. I'm going to run through this routine one more time. What I've always wanted to do, and Kelly also mentioned that she thought this would be something useful, is I want to create a sub show for every constellation, so that no matter what season it is, if my audience wants to take a look at Orion or Gemini or Taurus or whatever in a little more detail, I could just pull up a sub show that will concentrate on that constellation and do all the stuff in the ATM-4 show that you might want to do by hand, but you're going to have to be hot hands Zelensky in order to do it. So let me share my RenderBox screen. And so I'm assuming that everybody can see my RenderBox screen and also the ATM-4 script of Gemini in depth. Okay, so I'm going to run that. So you saw the Q file, the timeline move, and you notice that absolutely nothing happened. That's one of the most exciting things about SciDome, is that you can do stuff and nothing happens. That's a feature. What actually happened was it loaded a scene, and in order for you to make this work, you're going to have to make up your own scene file, which I assume everybody knows how to do. And you're going to have to substitute it in for that cue. I hope everybody knows what I mean by that, because I didn't give you the scene file. This is on my machine. So you'll need to make your own scene of if you're going to do Orion or whatever constellation you're going to do. It has to be the night scene that has that constellation in the sky. I hope that's obvious. These toggles Steve Sanders recommends putting in, this is actually toggling individual constellation lines, individual constellation labels, individual illustrations, individual boundaries off, so that no matter what the scene file has embedded within it, this countermands that and sets everything off, turns it off, so that when I start turning on constellations, I don't get stuff I don't want. Okay, eventually this is going to be a subroutine. That scene file is going to be gone. This will be called by another program that's already set the scene, and it's just going to call this routine and start doing Gemini. But for this demonstration, I put the scene file in the file. Ultimately, there will be no scene file in here. It's just an initiation part. And then we start doing things. So the first thing it's going to do, this toggles the lines on. If I open this up, which I can't do because I'm running it, this toggle just turns the individual constellation lines on. The very next is the list command, which is saying turn Gemini on. So I had to give Starry Night the ability to turn lines on first, and then whatever constellation I tell it to turn on, it will turn on the lines, and that's what you see in the render box. Okay. So let me redo that again. So that's the initiation. That toggles the lines on. And then this next toggle is just saying, okay, now turn the individual labels on. That's why I have it on the label line. So that names the constellation. The next one toggles the illustrations on. And then if you want to, again, you don't have to have that in there, but I toggled the IAU constellation boundary on. Why did I do it this way? I did it this way because these toggles are general. This list command is specific to Gemini, yes, but these toggles will toggle on whatever I've turned on here. So if I want to do Leo, the only thing I have to change in all these cues is that cue and change it to Leo. Yes, that makes sense to people? I'm saving myself a whole lot of time making this kind of generic. Okay. The next thing I'm going to do, I want to turn everything off now that I've shown my audience, what's happening here with Gemini. So those toggles just shut off the labels, the illustration of the boundary. And now I want to point out the bright stars in the constellation. Now, obviously, this is going to have to be specific to the constellation that you're dealing with. In this case, it's Castor and Pollux. So this turns, if you want to see what that looks like, if you're not sure what that looks like. In the list command, you have a lot of the bright stars, and they're alphabetical. I know that Spitz doesn't like alphabetical, but in this case they are. There's a lot of A's because in Arabic, al means the. So there's a lot of Al's. So they've got them broken down. That's why they've got them broken down into these specific categories. Okay. So I don't want to do that. So that should turn on Castor. And then the next one is going to turn on Pollux. Okay, Castor and Pollux. And again, if I were doing this for an online group, I would have zoomed in on this already. But I wrote this in general for my planetarium dome so that people can see the whole sky, see the constellation. I'm going to zoom in a minute to concentrate on the area of Gemini. Okay, now here comes the sexy part. I want to get ready to zoom in, but I need to center the constellation first. So what I did beforehand was I went into Gemini and I found a bright star that's roughly in the center of Gemini. And I pointed on it with the arrow key, and it turned out its name is What's That, which I like that. What's that? That's a real star. And then I made it center on that. And you look at the cue and it says T-Val. What the heck is that? I will show you what that is in a few minutes. There is no cue. There is no cue in ATM-4 that will center on an object. However, you can do it from the pre-flight GUI, and almost anything you can do from the pre-flight GUI can be captured in what's called cue capture. So I'm going to demonstrate for you in a few minutes how to do that. But I want to show you what else this thing does. So let's continue. So this is going to center my sky. What I tell my audience when they see the sky turning like this is it's not the sky. They're drunk. That's what I tell them. Now, what I tell them is that the telescope is aiming at a particular part of the sky. That seems to make people happy. Next, I'm going to hit the zoom command. The zoom will zoom in. And again, let me show you that cue. That is a very powerful cue. That command, very simple, zoomed into whatever field of view you want in degrees, and you can make it go very slow or very fast. That's entirely up to you. It will zoom in on whatever you have centered. So I centered on What's That. So What's That is probably that guy right there. So that's where we are. Okay, let's continue. I turned the names of the stars off just so that they wouldn't bother us. Now, in this view, there's a really neat feature here. People who know their sky, this is M35, the open cluster. So I'm going to center on that and then zoom in. So once again, I have a T value. I use Q control to get this guy. And this is what the center looks like in this magnified view. It's actually pretty cool, as if we're turning our telescope to this thing. And then I'm just going to use the zoom command to zoom in to a much smaller field of view. There's M35. And if you want, remember, this is the whole dome. If you were doing this in the dome, this is pretty big. You might not want to make it fill the dome, but on a flat screen for an online audience, you might want to go in further. Okay, so you can talk about open clusters and the reason those stars are blue and all that good stuff. Now let's take a look at another object, which I didn't know was in Gemini. I looked it up. We're going to center on that and then zoom in. We're actually going to zoom into about 1/10 of a degree because this thing's much smaller than that open cluster. And of course, this is the Eskimo Nebula, which you saw because it said so down here. Right, and then the last thing I do, if you wanted to zoom into more objects, you could do that, depending on the age of your audience, the interest of your audience, and how many things you put into your sub-show. I think that 2 is probably enough for the average group. And then we just zoom back out to the show. And that's the end of the sub-show. This will return me to my main program, and I can continue what I was doing. What do you think? Is that something you're interested in learning how to do?
Yes.
Okay. So, let's see what I have to rearrange my screens here a little bit. All right, so what I want to show you, I'm going to show you my pre-flight screen and ATM-4 and try to go through this carefully so you can see what I'm doing. So here's my ATM-4 script, Gemini in depth, which should be the same thing that you've downloaded if you've been able to download it. And I'm not going to go through all the details. I'm going to assume that you know most of what this is. These pauses, right, allow you to stop and talk, stop and do things. The toggles, turning things off and on, you should know how to do that. I think what you're most interested in is how do you center something? How do you get this T-val? Okay, so let me show you how I decided to pick WhatsApp, first of all. So what I did is I went to pre-flight and I pushed F8. F8, of course, gives you the bigger view. And then I changed my pointer to the arrow. And then I went into Gemini. Here's Gemini here. And I looked for a bright star that was sort of in the center of Gemini. And then I clicked. I'll never find it again. Mech Buddha, that would be even better. Here's what's that. Here he is. So that's kind of the center of Gemini. That'll work. What's that? Okay, let me get out of this. Now I want to center on what's that. So let's get back to the regular GUI here. Now, I want to center on what's that. There's a couple of ways to do this. My recommendation is go to the Find pane and type in the name of the object that you want to center on. What's that? Okay, now don't do any, don't center yet. You've got to set up ATM-4. So let's go back to ATM-4. You have to decide where you want this cue. Okay. So let's pretend I'm going to get rid of this cue. This is so dangerous to do. Okay, I just got rid of it. I want the cue to appear right there, right after this pause and on this track. I set up a track just for that command. You have to set up ATM-4 so that Starry Night knows where to plunk the cue that it's about to make. Okay, so just go into your show, put the time bar on a track. That's where it's going to plunk the cue. Okay, now go back to Starry Night. Okay, I want to get what's that. Now, I don't want the label what's that because my audience doesn't care what the name of that star is. It's just a star we're centering on. So I just turn that off. Now, you need to hit the Control-Alt buttons. Control-Alt. Control-Alt. And your cue capture dialog will come up. And the flashing yellow means, dude, anything you do now is going to be recorded. So make sure you do what you mean to do. Okay, I want to center on what's that. So I go up to the hamburger next to what's that and click on it. And then I go to center. Now watch what happens. The magic happens now. Hit center. And look what happens. Yes, it centers, but look what happens over here. A tag value cue has been made automatically by Starry Night, doing all the various commands it needs to do in order to do that center command. When I click OK, that's the only command I want at the moment, so I'm going to shut off cue control. Let's go back to ATM-4. We'll do this again, so don't panic. And look what it did. Look at that. Look right there. Look. That cue, when the time bar hits it, it's going to center on what's that. I will prove it to you. I'm going to save it. I'm going to start it over. I know you don't believe it. So let me give you, I'm going to stop my share. You guys with me, or did you run away? Is everybody here? Did I go too fast? Was that all right?
No, you're good. We're here. Yes, yes.
Jamie, did that make any sense?
It did make sense. Thank you.
Okay, we're going to do it again, though, okay? I just have to flip screens around and dance around the room a little bit. But just to prove to you that that worked. I know you're saying we believe you, but I don't believe it. Okay, so let me share the screen. Let's see if that tag value actually worked. Here we go. So there's that, there's that, there's that. Turn all those puppies off. Turn on the stars. Yeah, that's really exciting. Okay. Now let's center on what's that. So what it's going to do is going to hit that T value cue, which of course is off the screen, and it's centered it. That was good planning. So just to prove to you, that's what it did. It just hit that. That's the one we just made. It hit that, and it's centered. Are you with me on this? So that's, cue capture is the bee's knees. So do not be afraid to use it. It can capture just about any command, anything you do in the pre-flight GUI, say that 50 times, and make a cue out of it, and then you can access it with ATM-4. It's extremely powerful. So you just have to hit the Control-Alt buttons, and you'll be in cue capture. And you can do lots of captures all at once, too. You don't have to just do one.
I do have a quick question. Should you, like when you're doing OAs and you're doing like so many OAs in a row that you should save a favorite of like halfway in between all of your OAs, should you save a favorite? Like what if you're doing a T values for many different motions? Should you do a favorite like in the middle or no?
Yeah, so Jamie, that's an excellent question as usual. The answer to that is probably yes. In other words, how else could I could have just made a scene that was already centered and loaded the scene. Because what Jamie's referring to is if you do 4 or 5 motions and then something happens, you don't have a favorite to get you back to that place. That's the danger of only using cues instead of loading successive scenes. Does that make sense? So yes, if your system is not very stable, you should have several scenes, intermittent scenes. So the answer, Jamie, is probably yes. You might want to have a scene saved with Gemini centered or something. It's,
Okay.
I don't usually have these problems, so I wouldn't do it myself because my system is fairly stable, as Steve said. But yeah, if you're doing a lot of changes, you can't get back to this without going back to the original scene file and going through all those machinations again. So it's a very good point.
Okay, thanks.
Sure. Okay, so did everybody get that, or should I do another one? Would you like me to do another one or not? Anybody? You're
Let's
happy
do
with?
another one. Yeah. Let's do another one.
All right, we'll do another one. So, because there is another one, right? So in here, Jimmy wanted to see the zoom control. After I centered, the zoom cue, which is very powerful, you can zoom into whatever you want, even fractions of a degree, and as fast or as slow as you want. And so that's a very good. You can play around with this and see how fast, how slow things go.
Oh, I don't think you're sharing your screen. I don't know if that's
No, I'd rather do it so you can't see it, right?
Yeah. Okay, that's cool. It's like theater of the mind, right?
Thank you, Chris.
Anytime.
Is that better?
Yeah, I see your screen now.
So this zoom command, this guy, which allows you to change your field of view and the speed, that will zoom in on whatever you have centered. Okay, now I want to center on M35, so I'm going to delete this, so we have to make it from scratch. Okay, so what's the first thing I do? Chicken.
Control Alt, right?
Oh wait, I have to do something to the time bar first.
You have to move it where you want it in ATM-4.
I have to put the time bar at the place where I want the cue to appear. That's the first thing you do. If you don't set it up right, your T-val is going to be wherever it was left.
Wait, did I miss you doing the Zoom? Did you do Zoom already?
No, I skipped over it. Am I supposed to do the zoom?
Oh, I thought you were going to show it, but that's okay.
No, I can.
Oh, he's about to show it now.
When I run through it again, I'll show it, Jamie. All right?
Okay.
Okay. I want to do this T-val thing because this is the complicated thing. Okay, so in order to use cue capture, you've got to tell Starry Night, hey, dude, I want the cue capture put here. If I want it up on this line, then I have to click on this track, right? So it puts it here. So make sure you put it where you want to put it. I want to put it on this Eskimo Nebula place because that's what I made a track to just do that. Okay, so far so good. So he's ready to receive the cue. Now I'm going to just go back to the Starry Night GUI. Now what do? I want to center on the Eskimo Nebula. So what should I do next?
In your find, search
Find.
Eskimo Nebula.
Probably helps to spell it correctly. Okay, and so actually these are all the same thing. This is a Caldwell 39 object, but NGC 2392, that is indeed the Eskimo Nebula. Only nerds know that kind of stuff. Okay, so far so good. Now what do? Chris, what do I do now? Now say it.
Control Alt.
Right, hit Control Alt.
Yes. I've been living for that.
Okay, so now we're going to go to the hamburger next to the object we want to center. Click on that, and then tell it what to do, center the puppy. So when I do that, you saw this guy move a little bit. It made a new cue, a new tag value cue. Click OK. I'm going to turn cue capture off so it doesn't start making things that I don't want. We go back to ATM-4, you'll see that the T value was placed in exactly where I told it to. And actually moves the time thing. So if I kept making more T values, it just puts them in succession along the line. So if I wanted to do 5 or 6 commands at once, every time I did it, it would make a new tag value. And it would just keep plopping them along the line. Very powerful thing. It's just a fantastic thing.
When you did your T value just now, your Gemini illustration, or the lines weren't turned on for Gemini. Do you need it turned on?
This one?
The lines for the constellation.
No, I just want, I'm not sure what you mean by turned on.
Like you couldn't see Gemini when you made that T value in Starry Night.
Doesn't matter.
Okay.
It doesn't matter because it's going to be turned on by these other cues.
Okay.
The only thing I'm interested in was all I asked Starry Night to do
It's just center.
was center on that object. So that's all that's going to do. That it doesn't care if the stars are blown up or have clown face or, you know what I mean? It could care less. All it's going to do is put the Eskimo Nebula in the center of view so that when I zoom, it zooms on that position. Yes? Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
So let's try it. So I'm going to stop my sharing. Share my other screen. Multiple monitors are lovely, except Zoom keeps putting stuff where I don't want it to be. Okay, so let's pick this up from we'll center on M35 again. So center on M35, it's going to zoom in. This is for Jamie. I'm going to center on M35. Who's up here? No, I'm sorry, it's centering on the Eskimo, my fault. And then it's going to zoom in on the Eskimo. Or not, I got the wrong one. It didn't zoom in far enough. So I messed up. Put it in the wrong place. Here we go. It's one of the things I do not like about teaching online. It's much more difficult than teaching in the dome. When I teach my college courses sitting at home, you think, oh, that's a nice, relaxing, right? I leave my office I'm sweating like a pig. You know, it's awful. I'd rather teach 2 hours in a classroom than an hour online. And I get almost no feedback. I can't tell if people are listening or laughing at me or what. Okay.
We only laugh with you, Dr. B.
Well, I know you guys because you're nice. Okay, so what I would like you guys to do in the remaining 20 minutes or 19 minutes that we have is I would like each of you to make your own constellation subroutine. You can either start from scratch or you can use the Gemini in-depth Q file. Pick a constellation that you like. If you want more information about it, you can go to the constellationguides.com thing or whatever your favorite internet website is on constellations. Just see what you can do with it. And if you have trouble, I'm here and Steve is here and Brad, are you still here? Brad is here.
I'm not here.
Brad doesn't know anything about ATM-4, but he'll be happy to help.
Yeah, I can point you in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
easily.
Yeah, Brad knows everything, so, you know. Because this is your big chance to try to, you know, try to make your own constellation thing. You have 19 minutes. And if you have trouble, just ask Steve or myself or Brad.
Kelly's here too.
Kelly, yeah, Kelly like knows more than any of us, so. She's a
Wait,
good
what?
person.
I still have questions about Zoom. I've never
Go ahead,
used it
Go
before.
ahead, Jimmy, go ahead.
How do you know like when to stop? Like how do you know you're not going through it or not close enough? Like how do you pick the perfect
All right, so I'm gonna treat you like one of my college students. What do you think you do?
try and error?
Yes.
Okay.
Usually a telescopic view is something less than a degree.
Uh-huh.
So what I would do is put one in and try it and see if that gets you in close enough, not close, you know what I mean? And then adjust it. It's an iterative process.
Okay. I
Yeah,
get
Same is true with the zoom speed. You might not be happy with the zoom speed. You have to play with that. 50% is a good place to start.
To get the field of view, Jamie, the other thing you can do is just go into Starry Night and mess around with the plus and minus buttons and then look up to see what your field of view is. And then you can set that into the queue. That way you don't have to keep resetting the queue each time. You can just set it once.
That's what I would do.
Which part is the 191? The field
Yeah,
of view?
yeah, with the,
All
yeah,
the way
with-
over on the right, that plus and minus does the same thing that Zoom does. It's just changing your field of view.
Okay.
or you can just type the numbers in the queue and hit execute. Either way,
Okay. That sounds good.
Yep.
too. Thank you.
sure.
Got it.
And remember, you're going to have to make up a scene cue to put the sky the way you want it so that your constellation is visible. Yeah, what's up? Hmm? Yeah, people are working on a program. Cory's having what?
Watch this short video to get 30 minutes of uninterrupted listening.
So I take it that when you did your initial scene, you you saved the scene with Gemini selected or something. Is that right?
No,
No. Okay.
nope, no, it's just a general night winter scene. That's all.
Okay. I'm just trying to think why I can't. What I need to do to select links.
What do you mean select links, Chris?
So I've taken. I'm sorry. I've taken your Gemini. Going to try to do the same thing for links, and I'm trying to figure out.
So do you have a scene set up and saved?
Yeah. I got a new scene loaded.
And it's loaded.
Yeah, it's loaded. It's
Okay.
just that I now need to select links instead of Gemini. That's all.
Oh. Links. Not links.
LINX.
Yes, not. I'm thinking, like,
sorry.
what are you linking to an ATM-4? Wait a minute.
Yeah, no, you're right. I apologize. I'm thinking links is on my mind. That's where
Yeah.
it is, and I've been like, all right, well, I'm trying to show
Wow.
people comedy. Let me see here.
Hey, Brad.
Yeah.
Karen seems to still be having problems getting her Q capture working, and I've basically told her everything I know about it at this point.
Yeah, I was just going to invite her into a breakout room.
Cool, thank you.
Yeah, I've tried to send her on 2 different stars in my constellation, and Q capture still is not making a Q.
Yeah, I will be with you after that, Christy.
Okay.
Or, well, you know what? We'll just bring everyone into the same room. All right, Steve, you're going to be in charge here.
Power is mine.
Steve, you have the comm.
Like the old Enterprise episodes where they separate the bridge and the. No, don't do it.
Why do people who get put in charge always go right for saucer separation?
Because it's
Because they
fun.
spent the money. Because they spent the money to film it, and they're going to use it.
Or they could just eject the warp core.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but then you can't go anywhere. That's a bummer.
Yeah, what makes no sense to me is that everybody has the same preview suite. Why it doesn't work on some and it works on others. I don't get it.
I
That's a
think it has
feature.
sometimes to do with permissions and the ability for the computer to talk through stuff, because Q capture would have to talk to ATM, and I'm guessing it's a permission issue somewhere, but that's just a wild guess.
Yeah, there are so many different configurations out there that it's impossible to test for everything. There's a lot of stuff going on in the background that
Yeah, I imagine.
work right.
All right. Why does this thing keep freaking stop selecting?
What are you stuck on, Chris? Maybe I can help you.
Well, I'm getting, it's like I'm just trying to click on the sky, just trying to, I should say I'm trying to deselect. It's got a, like right now it's got 74 or some Majoris labeled. I'm
Okay.
trying to get rid of that label.
Control Y.
Thank you. Oh, thanks. Beautiful.
Yeah, that gets rid of anything in the sky, any labels, it get rid of them all.
Yep.
Okay.
All right.
A panic button.
Okay, Aaron, let's see if you can hear this. Oh, just go. Come on.
Okay, well, the world looks like it's trying to end outside, so may lose power at any time.
Yeah, our storms are supposed to come later, Steve.
Yeah, we're getting them now down here in Maryland.
Yeah, I saw like 5, 6 o'clock, like 6 o'clock, Dr. B.
Yeah, just when I'm doing volume 4. Yeah.
I have a question while I'm thinking about it. So in the past, when I would do like the night sky, I would want to do one constellation having an image and one just being the stick figure. But that's not possible. I've never been able to figure out how to do one having the image and one having the outline.
Yeah, you know why?
Well, why?
Because it's impossible.
Okay. I was like, I would get so frustrated, and I was like, I don't know if I'm just not advanced enough.
That's a feature.
Oh, okay. I was just about to ask that.
If you're really itching for it, you could probably create the image as a slide and attach it in RA and Deck. It's not the best, but you could do it.
Okay.
That's what we do with the dippers.
Yeah, I was thinking like, I could upload my own image, but using like the ghosty images that are already on.
You could steal, Lauren, you could steal the ghostly image from the const images folder, use that as a slide and do it that way.
Yep, I've done that.
Smart thinking.
When you're really desperate.
Yeah.
You want to go through the work, you can do it.
If I'm eager for it, and I'll maybe try it out sometime. Thanks.
But don't be frustrated. It's nothing you were doing wrong.
Okay. That makes me feel a little bit better.
I forget how to move tracks up again. Like
right mouse click and move it up. Click on it with the right mouse click and move it. You'll see a little line appear.
You have to highlight the one you want to move it above or below first.
No, you don't have to do that, Kelly. Not with the right mouse click.
Oh, no?
Yeah, try it. Click on a right mouse click and you can just move it to wherever you want.
You got to click and hold the right mouse and drag.
Yeah, click and hold right mouse and then drag.
That's right. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a very cool thing that Garland put in.
Yes, I forgot about that. Thank you.
Yep. Steve taught me though.
I swear I've forgotten more about Starry Night and ATM-4 than I'll ever remember.
There's a lot to forget, Kelly.
Mm-hmm.
because
Well-
I've been immersed in this for the past 4 weeks.
Yeah.
I remember pretty much everything now. My
And
wife,
after a year,
my wife hates me now, but no, I've been like 9 hours a day for the past month fighting with Preview Suite.
yeah.
I went through every single lesson of the full dome, every single lesson,
Jeez.
making sure it would work. Yeah, yeah, exactly. And most of them didn't work.
Oh, I bet. Yeah.
So I had to edit and do all kinds of things.
So just a quick question.
Go
I
ahead,
thought
Jen.
you toggled 3 things. I can only think of 2. So I toggled lines on and pictures on, so then I can just tell it which exactly one I want it to turn on, right?
Yeah, just with a list command.
Mhm.
With the lists, yeah, you turn it on with, I thought you toggled 3 things at the
I
beginning.
did. I did the label, the illustration, and the boundary.
The label.
And
Thank
so
you.
there's actually 4 things: the label, the lines, the illustration, and you probably won't do the boundary. Most people don't care about the boundary.
Yeah,
so-
no, 6th graders don't care.
Yeah, so lines, label, and illustration.
Okay, thanks.
So when you did the T-val thing, I could lose power any second. When you do the T-val, you had a data screen pop up when the command was finished. It's not
Yes.
happening for me.
Sometimes that appears in the background, Kathy. You might have to find it, like move some of your windows around.
Okay, because I don't know how to get out of the T-val recording here.
The Q capture.
Yeah, out of
Just click
Q
on the X in the right upper box of Q capture. Close it.
and will it, if I do
might-
that though,
Now
will
you
it
might
not,
lose-
will it not?
Can you minimize your pre-flight? Go up to the minimize
Yeah,
and minimize it.
hang on. It's not there. That window is definitely not there. That's
Check in ATM-4 and see if the T value appeared.
okay. Hang on.
I don't think it did, but
It did appear actually, so I can just close the Q.
yes,
Q
yes.
Okay.
That's a feature, Kathy. Yeah, I know.
So I think I'm way behind here. It's still selecting Gemini. How do you get it to select the constellation you want? I mean,
Well,
this was
wait, Chris, tell me where you are, what you're doing.
sure. Well, I do have my scene. I do have the scene that I created loaded.
Okay.
And so I've gotten to your first, I just let all your toggles, everything off, and then I get to the first toggle.
The list one.
Yes, that's right. Oh,
So in list, you want to go double click on that and change Gemini to links.
Yeah. Okay. This is the part where my late Italian mother would have given me such a smack for.
No, I would never do that, Chris.
I know, but my mother, God rest her soul, would. Anyway.
I understand. If I smacked up all my students who do dumb things, I would be in jail many years ago.
I know. Okay, so it's toggle followed by the list. Okay.
Yeah, the toggle enables the lines to be turned on, and then now you're telling it in the list command which lines to turn on.
All right. Let's just roll that back. Make sure that links gets.
Okay, guys, now our session has ended. You can, so I'll stay on for the next, I mean, Brad's in command here. He can do what he wants, but what I was hoping was somebody would have something to show us, but maybe nobody has anything to show us. It's okay.
Maybe tomorrow.
Yeah, maybe tomorrow so yeah, I would keep working on this. I think once you get it done, it's like, hey, this is cool. I can make use of this. Because once you do one and understand it, then you can make 87 more.
Also, I want to point out, I forget if we've mentioned it already or not, but the Friday lunch period, we actually have, it's a little bit longer. And what we're hoping is stuff that you've created during the week, you'll like to show it off. And so we have an extra long lunch just for that. So this would be a perfect thing to show off then if you want.
Yeah, I'd be very interested to see what constellation you picked and what objects you zoomed into and stuff.
Hey, Brad, did I hear right that other people were having problems getting T-Val to work?
There are a few people with having queue capture options. Yeah.
Okay. So is it working or is it not or what?
We had a 50% success rate.
Okay. Was there something to do or just no?
There are a couple things to check out. I have to go get the meeting set up for Scott.
Okay.
But let's chat at some point.
Okay, great.
Leslie, I relaunched. I X'd out of everything and then I just restarted everything and that fixed it for me.
Okay, I'll do that. I'll try that first.
67%
Yeah,
success rate.
relaunching actually helped me as well.
Oh, cool. Yay, let's go with that.
I'm still working on it.
Guys, thank you very much. I hope this was helpful for you.
Thanks
very much.
I would love to see your constellation files when you're done.